Hi third graders. So I've made this video 4 times and it keeps not uploading, so this is the 5th time I'm making this video and hopefully this time it works because I'm gonna go crazy if it doesn't. Okay, let's get to it. So far in this week's lesson we've talked about rounding using a number line, what we know about place value to help us round, and now we're just going to practice and we're going to think about that number line and think about place value, and I'm just going to show you a strategy, okay? So when I'm rounding in the tens place, I look at the ones place. I had a teacher in elementary school who used this little rhyme: find the place and look next door. Is it 5 or more? Then raise the score. If it's 4 or less, then let it rest. Now I'll show you what that means. So I find the place. The question's telling me to look for the 10 or round to the tens. So I'm going to find the tens because that's what it says in the question. Find the tens, but I'm going to look next door. Okay? Now, if it's 5 or more, I round up. 4 or less, I round down. So I'm going to think to myself about that number line. On the number line, 27 would be somewhere between 20 and 30. 27 would round up because it'll be closer to 30 because 7 is 5 or more. So that would round up. Okay, let's look at the next one. I'm going to find the place. I'm going to look next door. Think about that number line. 41 is going to be between 40 and 50. And a 1 is less than 5. So I'm going to let it rest. I'm going to round it down. Okay, next one. Now here's a tricky one, right? Because it's a 3-digit number and I'm asking you to round to the tens place. Remember, we can skip count by 10 past 90, right? Like we can go 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, so on and so on and so on, right? So if I'm skip counting by tens, I would say 200, 210, 220, 230, and on and on and on. So if I'm thinking about it, 216 is going to be between 210 and 220. Another way to look at that is that you might notice that matches 2, 1, 2, 1. Okay? Oops. Back. Okay. So I find the place. I look. That's not what I wanted. I find the place. I look next door. The 6 tells me I'm rounding it up. So that's going to round up to 220. Okay. Now the same is true with the hundreds. The only difference now is that I'm not rounding to the hundreds. I'm not rounding to the tens. I'm rounding to the hundreds. So that means I'm not looking at the ones now. I'm looking at the tens because I find the place and I look next door. Okay. So I'm rounding to the hundreds. This is going to be between 300 and 400. 1 tells me to round it down. 452 is between 400 and 500. Find the place, look next door, 5 rounds up. 609 is between 600 and 700. Find the place, look next door, 0 rounds down. Okay? All right, let's do some practice. So remember, find the place, look next door. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. So this would be rounding up. This would be rounding down. Okay, so we're going to round to the nearest 10. So I'm going to get you started. I'm going to do the first 2 with you. You're going to do the next 2 by yourself. So 26 is between 20 and 30. Rounding to the nearest 10. Find the place, look next door. 6 is more, so I'm going up. Okay, 724, still to the nearest 10, so that's 720, 730. Find the place, look next door. 2 is less, I let it rest. Okay, your turn. You're going to tell me what 2 places is it between. You're going to always look at the ones. And make your decision. Pause and then come back. Okay, so 48's between 40 and 50. I found the tens, I looked at the ones. 8 tells me to round it up. Okay, 842 is between 840 and 850. Found the tens, looked at the ones. 2 is less, so I round it down. Okay, let's do hundreds now. Again, I'm going to find what's it between 800 and 900. But I'm rounding to the hundreds, so find the place, look next door. 2 tells me to round down. 248 is between 200 and 300. Find the place, look next door. 4 is less than 5, so I round down. Okay, your turn. What 200s is it between? This one's tricky. Remember, we're going to find the place and look next door. Go. Okay, so I looked next door over here, and it's a 5, so I round that up to 1,000. I look next door over here, that's an 8, so that I round up to 700. Okay, last thing I want to tell you is that when we round, there's a word that you might hear. If I rounded 48 to the nearest 10, I could say 48 is close to 50. I could also say 48 is approximately. It's a long word. 50. Approximately just means the exact same thing to close to, or is almost the same as. They're not equal, but they're almost equal. They're pretty close. So your code word for this video is approximately. It's a long one, so I suggest you write it down. All right, you're going off to do section 3 of your slides. Later, Gators.